What is up, boys and girls? Today we're going to be talking about redstone clocks in Bedrock edition of Minecraft. So these are some pre-built clocks that we could take a look at. The first clock is probably one of the most simple ones, just a simple repeater clock. Flick this guy on and off real quick and you can see we get a pulse. And this is probably one of the fastest clocks there is. So very fast clock. The only problem is it's very hard to stop this clock. There's different tricks you can do with like putting blocks back and forth in the way, but you can see we can't really turn it off. We can break that piece and then add it back in and then turn it back on. It's also hard to get started because you gotta flick it pretty quick here. So now it's started again. So one of the cons there is, being able to turn that on and off. You can add delay to this, but it'll actually screw up if you don't put it on all of them, I believe. So let's see if that works. It might just screw up in general. Yeah, this one's a really persnickety clock, so you gotta be careful. But you can see you can add a tick of delay or how many ticks you want here. You can infinitely expand this with more repeaters to add more delay. But for the time being, I want to run it with one tick delay. Or sorry, no tick delay. So let's get rid of that tick. Add it back in our redstone and flick lever. Perfect. Alright, so that clock's running. Next clock is an observer clock. We just place an observer, click it to negative, place your redstone like this, straight out in a redstone line into whatever component you want. And you can see that makes its own little circuit there. And these are just sticky pistons connected to redstones. If you try to connect it directly to like a red stone lamp, it probably will just stay lit because they don't accept ticks the way that a piston would. So these sticky pistons allow us to see exactly how fast this stuff is pulsating. So this next one's very simple. You just have a block here, repeater pointing that way into a block, another block, and then a redstone torch here. And then you're just going to have a line of redstone here. And you'll have yourself a sticky piston or whatever you want the output to be. So this one's going to be very quick. Don't worry about this this redstone torch here. That's just to turn the farm on and off. So this is another one tick kind of pulse. If you put two observers facing into each other, it's going to cause a pulse. You can see that little piece of redstone's pulsing there. And then you can just run that straight out into whatever component you want. Again, don't worry about the redstone torch here. That's just to turn this on and off. And then this one is just an etho hopper clock with one item inside of it. You can see hopper into a hopper with a comparator and a comparator of a block, redstone, two regular pistons, and a redstone block. And if we flick this guy on, you'll see kind of how this works. So you can see this one to the left is definitely the fastest. It's pretty comparable to I think it may be a little bit quicker than this clock. So this one's actually one of the faster ones you can get, but it does cause a lot of lag. I've been on Worlds on Xbox where I tried to build this circuit, and it actually broke my whole, it'll break you out of the game. So be careful with this one, but it's definitely an option. I use a lot in like my trident killers and things like that. This guy does a similar thing, but a lot slower. You can see the difference between these two, how much slower this one to the right is. And then the etho hopper clock is going to be even slower because it has to move this block back and forth on one tick. So it's really like a two tick pulse here. So that's all of those guys. If you should be able to figure out how to build these, they're pretty simple circuits. So now we're going to get a little more complicated. This one's pretty simple. So this one is just a burnout clock. So redstone burnout clock. So you put your redstone torches here all the way around. Put one piece of redstone in the middle. Flip this on. And you can see we get these lights lighting up one after another in kind of a left to right kind of fashion. So this one's kind of interesting. Basically all we have is a furnace in the center with one item in it. Doesn't matter what the item is. Then we have comparators going into a repeater that would come around and go into this repeater. We have a block here so we can turn on and off the farm. When I turn this farm on, this block will pop up, allowing redstone signal to go to these pieces of redstone. And then that runs out into one repeater, and then you just repeat that throughout the cycle. So comparator, repeater, into a repeater, into this piston. That's when this piston shoots the furnace this way. Then this comparator will see the furnace has something, and it'll shoot. The piston will shoot it this way, so on and so forth. So it's not as complicated as it looks, but definitely looks kind of intimidating. But what this one does is it just and then before I turn this on, let's talk about this one here. So this is a combination of two ether clock designs. So exactly the same ether clock we built back there, but we put 64, 64, and 22. This gives us a full minute before this block ticks back. So this block will go back and forth every minute, and then we put redstone in both spots because we want to activate the circuit every time it moves. So that locks these pistons, and then these pistons count how many minutes we want the pulses to have. So this would be 1 minute, but you could put you could put 60 minutes in here for an hour. So this is definitely a good long-term clock here. And we just put the redstone here, so that blocks these pistons from going back and forth until this thing pulses, and then it will allow that one to go across. So that's kind of why we have that this way, because now we can say as soon as this pulses, let one go across. That's a minute. However many minutes we put into this hopper clock is how many minutes we're going to have to wait for this to activate. So let's turn these two on. You can see nothing's happening here because it won't happen until a minute passes. And then this one, you can see we're just getting one after the other. These pistons are activating in a very linear way. And then this one, we'll have to wait a minute or two. But you can see all these different redstone circuits that we have here. So if you guys don't know what kind of clock you'll need, here's some good options for you. These are good for when you need multiple outputs at different intervals. Same with this one you could use. This one's a little less reliable than the furnace clock here. So if you want something super reliable, go with the furnace clock. If you want something super cheap and easy, go with the burnout clock there. The etho hopper clock is good for a lot of different situations because you can add whatever timings you want to the etho hopper clock. This one, perfect. So that was 1 minute later, and now we have an active lamp. And a minute after that, this will retract, and you'll have an inactive lamp. So this is kind of like a one-shot. If you had not a sticky piston but a regular piston here, you could push up a redstone block and activate something at an hour, or so on and so forth. So that's just a look at all these different redstone circuits. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave your comments down below, and leave this video a like if you wouldn't mind. And I appreciate you guys spending the time watching our video today. So thank you so much. Have a great day.